I'm Shelly and I inspire creatives to make crafty things. So you're obviously going to need all those greeting cards or holiday cards that have been piling up after a year's worth of crazy virus COVID things. Because let's be real, we did a lot more snail mail, right? That was fun. So let's save them and bind them into something special. Gather up all your materials. You're going to need scissors, a pencil or pen. You're going to need some embroidery thread and some wax. Beeswax. You can use candle wax too, so just like those little candles you can get from like Dollar Tree. 2 to 4 binder clips depending on the size of your card or postcard. You'll need a very sharp pair of scissors. An awl will work if you have one. If not, sharp scissors or a really sharp, thicker needle can do the trick. And then if you want to make your covers, the back and the front, a little bit sturdier, then you're going to want to get some cardboard or even like an old cereal box that you can glue one of the envelopes onto. Alright, so that's all the materials that you need. For the front and the back, that's where I kind of started. I like my front and backs to have a little more sturdy cover because they are something that I plan on holding on to. Like I have my greeting cards from 2014, which is the coolest thing, 2010 even, and I want them to last. So I take a piece of cardboard and I cover it with like a couple of the envelopes from that year so I can see the stamp and the handwriting and all of that stuff. But you're welcome to just use a postcard. Postcard would fit perfectly, and you don't need a card fold or an envelope crease to be able to have a front and a back. So you just need something flat, so postcard, piece of cardboard. Then you're going to binder clip them, and you're going to mark where the holes are going to go. So you just take a ruler and mark every inch or so until you fill up all the cards. You do want holes in all the cards from longest to shortest. Now, using those marks that you just put on the spine of the cards or envelopes, go through with your all really sharp scissors or thicker needle and poke holes in each of the marked areas. Hold up. You want to extend the whole line onto the front and onto the back. And then you're going to puncture a hole in the front and the back about 1/4 of an inch from the seam. So that's going to be how you attach the front and the back. Then you're going to realign all the cards from your book. The front should be on top and the bottom should be the back. Then you're going to flip it away from you where the front is laying down and the spine is laying away from you. The position of this is pretty important because you're going to go from the back of the book to the front of the book. You're going to be working from the bottom to the top or the back to the front. Okay, now we're just going to stitch it. Stitch it good. Anybody? The song? Anyways, okay. With your embroidery thread, make sure it's waxed up. This will decrease the tangling. It's not necessary, but it is a preference. Like it helps not get it as tangled because when you're pulling and twisting, it kind of just gets on a mind of its own. The length of thread that you want is about 4 times the length of your cards. So I start on one end, 1, fold it back over 2, 3, 4, and then trim it a little bit extra. I did run out on this card video, and I'll show you how to attach the next round of thread. If you do run out, it's not a big deal, but you don't want too much where you're tangling yourself all the time, and you want enough to try to make it through the book. So about 4 times the length is the amount of stitching that you're going to need. Coat it in beeswax, and then you're going to take the back cover, flip it up, and then the first card or envelope, and flip it up. So then you have the binding and the holes facing you. Okay, so after you get it through that envelope, put it through the hole of the back of the book, go in between the envelope and the back, and go out the right side of that stitch. So you're going to have a stitch that goes through and down, and you're going to come back up through that stitch is here, and you're going to go to the right of it. Then back through the hole of the envelope, and that's your first one. Leave the tail though. You're going to want about a 1/2 inch tail left in that envelope because that's what you're going to tie off at the very end. Now go down to the left through the next hole and repeat the process. Outside of the book, up to the right of the stitch, and then into the hole. Inside the envelope or the card to the left, outside the envelope, down, up through the cover. If this is your last stitch, you're going to go to the left because you're going to go back to the left. If you still have more stitches to go, repeat all the way until you get to your last stitch. And then when you come up, you're going to go to the left of that stitch. Now, don't go back into that envelope. Instead, flip your next envelope over and go into that one, or a card, I guess. Go into the next card. Okay? Same thing, go into that card, go down, out that card, down, but don't go down to the front, and the envelope goes down to the next envelope or the next card. You're going to wrap around that stitch to the left, to the right, up and through that hole. On the inside of the card, go down, out the hole. If this is your last one on the right, then you're going to want to come out on the right side. If you still have more to go, keep going on the left until you get to the end. So come out, wrap a little loop around. This time you're going to go from left to right and then back up, but don't go back up into the next one. Flip your next card over and then go into the new one. So you get the idea all the way to the end. Get to the end, leave one card or envelope and the cover. Those are going to be kind of similar to how we did the bottom or the back in the first one. It's going to be similar to how do we do the top and the front. Once you get to the last one, put the last envelope or card on and put the cover on. Now you're on your second card or second envelope. You're going to go up to the cover, down through the cover, and out to the right. And then into the very last envelope, which in this case is going to be the first envelope or the first card in the book. Go through it and then go to the next hole. And then repeat just like you would in the other ones until you get all the way to the end. And then you're going to go up to the top, through the top of the cover, and back in the envelope, like through around it and back through. And then you can tie it off on the inside. So you just tie it off on the inside thread and then kind of roll it around each other and trim it. And then go back to the beginning, tie that off, roll it around it and trim it. So the section that I ran out of yarn, it just happens. So get to a stopping point where you're able to tie off that piece. And then just like you started, you're going to thread in a new piece and leave a tail and you'll tie that one off. So I try to do it on the inside of my card or the inside of my envelope, so that way it's tied off on the inside and you don't have thread hanging on the binding of your outside piece. So that's the idea of the Coptic binding. At the end you have these beautiful hand-stitched binding edges that are awesome, and I love it because they lay flat and you can see your cards, see the handwriting and the notes and the memories that were made with these cards. If you need more resources and tutorials or other videos, you can check all of that in the description below, and I hope this has inspired you to repurpose your holiday and greeting cards. If you're looking for more ways to repurpose crafty things from your home, be sure to turn that like button blue, comment on something you want to see or what you thought about this video. Stay creative, and I'll see you in the next one.